Salutations, everyone. This is Razor giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on the Destiny beta and really the game as a whole, because I thought the beta was a pretty good representation of what we should expect in the full retail release. So I want to give my 2 cents on that, because there's a lot that I want to say about this game. There's a lot of things that I think about it. This is just some PvP footage, and I say PvP and not competitive multiplayer for a reason, but I'll get into that later. This is just something to look at, a little more interesting than some of the normal story-centric footage in the beta. So hope you enjoyed that. It's pretty good. I do end up losing, so spoiler alert, but it's a good showing of my skills, I guess, for the beta at least. So as far as Destiny goes, it was a very interesting game on the onset of what is to be expected of this game. This game is really big in scale, in scope, and in promise of what this game is supposedly going to deliver. And there's been a lot of mystery around what Destiny is, what it's going to offer to the gamers and what we should expect. Because there wasn't a whole lot of information given about this game in the past year or so. And it's given us a lot of different impressions as the months have gone on about what type of game this is and what we should expect. It's a first-person shooter first and an MMO second. This is something that they've been stressing for quite a while. A lot of people are confused over how much of an MMO they should expect this game to be. And it is, to some extent, an MMO. It's a shared world shooter is really the best way to explain it. You all share a world. There's a central hub where you buy stuff and identify stuff, like in, a lot of other MMOs. And there's a world where you will encounter other players, that just happen to be in the same server, in the same location as you, and sometimes you could team up and do things together, but most of the time you're just all doing your own little different things. So it definitely gives you the feel of an MMO, which is something that, as first-person shooter, is definitely very, very new. No one has really attempted this before, and as far as what this game promises to be in the future, what this game hopes to be known as, is still up in the air. I've heard reports that Destiny is just going to be a game that they plan on maintaining its life throughout the entire life of the console, and that they aren't going to be releasing sequels, but keeping the game alive through what they call expansion packs, essentially, DLC or, expansion packs that you would see from like a PC game, and keep the game going through there. So that also makes it feel more like an MMO, more like a PC kind of mass world title. But we still have a lot of information left to us to learn. We've heard reports about how many missions are going to be in the game, stuff about raids and instances, how there isn't going to be matchmaking in raids, and that you need 6 people who know each other and be available for a couple hours at a time to do a raid is very ambitious. The fact that there's no matchmaking whatsoever in doing these long hour raids is interesting. And overall, I definitely enjoyed the game. The first person shooter aspect is very good. It feels very natural. This is Bungie, so a lot of people like to call this very similar to Halo, and the controls are very, very similar. But as first-person shooter, this is not going to surprise you in the controls or the movement or the fluidity or how it handles. It handles very well. It's a first-person shooter, and I think those aspects of the game aren't going to be surprising anyone. As far as the leveling up and MMO style of the game goes, you level up your character. There are 3 different classes available right now. I wouldn't be surprised if more were included in the future in expansion packs, but I don't think we should be expecting any more than the 3 for the full retail release and for the soon months afterward. I think we're only going to be getting the 3, with the Hunter class, the Titan class, and the Warlock class. And there are sub-classes with each of those classes. No word yet on like how many subclasses there are going to be, but you get to pick and choose certain power-ups. Some of them are passive, some of them are upgrades from ones that you currently have, and you get to pick and choose what types of skills you like. So, not every hunter is going to be the same, not every titan is going to be the same, not every warlock is going to handle exactly the same. You have different grenades, different guns that in the style of a loot drop game have their own different damage stats, recoil stats, rate of fire stats, range stats, and so on and so forth, as well as their upgrades are very different. If you use a gun for a certain amount of time, get a certain amount of kills and other objectives, then it levels up and you get one of the bonuses that are specific to that gun. Not all of the guns have the same bonuses, so it gives you a lot of choices in the game of what guns that you want. And this poses a lot of different not complications, but many different nuances to the game, such as here in multiplayer, it's a PvP kind of game, and a lot of people are confused. They think, a first-person shooter game that has a competitive multiplayer, they think that that's the selling point of the game. That is not what Destiny is about. The Destiny is all about the wide shared world, taking down the campaign and leveling up through that. The PvP is really just a side thing, something for fun, something you can do to level up and get experience and do challenges and whatnot. But you have to realize that with an MMO style weapon system, the people with the better guns are going to be at a huge advantage to those without good guns. This is quite prevalent if you played a lot of the PvP in this game, which is titled The Crucible, which is the little hub that you go to play the many different game modes. I'm not sure how many there are going to be yet. There are rumors of like 6 different game modes, 8 different game modes. The beta only gave us a look at 2 of them, and only one of them was available fairly briefly in the Iron Banner saga. But the PvP was very fun. Obviously, that the balance is going to change as the game progresses, and especially on the early onset where not everyone is level 20, which is going to be the level cap in the game, which seems incredibly low for any type of game with a leveling system, that 20 is the cap. This can be expanded, however, through your loadouts. If your gear is better, then you will obtain the illusion of being a higher level. So you will not, it's not necessarily a cap once you hit 20. You will be able to upgrade yourself through buying certain things, unlocking certain things, getting certain drops from certain bad guys, and it will make you more powerful than someone who just recently attained level 20, because you will essentially be a level 28 or a 31 or what have you, and that will be reflected numerically in game. So the multiplayer is just a fun little thing. It has vehicles and turrets, which I think throws off the balance and is just not something that I'm really personally into. That's just my own preferences. That's my taste. I don't like vehicles and turrets because they're very, very overpowered and they throw off the balance of the game. That when it's a first-person shooter, I like to keep it that way and not have vehicles enter the mix, especially if that's not what the game is geared to be in the first place. But overall, it's still fun, but, that will change as everyone figures out what the best setup is going to be, and the more superior weapons and gear is going to give you a huge advantage to others in the game. But overall, it's still fun. And what we should expect from the full game, as far as like hours played in the campaign and the story mode and such, I'm not sure that the story mode is going to grab us, which is okay. That's just not something that I thought was full-fledged a lot in the beta, to where we can really tell if this story is going to be very gripping, very compelling or not. And in an MMO type of game, it doesn't really have to be. It's all about the action, the instances, the raids, the bosses, the leveling up system. That's the bread and butter. That's what's going to make or break this game, not necessarily the story, which seems fairly vanilla. There's not a whole lot of cleverness that they've showed so far, but I'm more than willing to be surprised in the full retail release. But I don't think the story mode is really going to be a focus or a drive to buying the game, unlike, like a Halo game would be, where the story was really, really good. And as far as the game and the campaign goes, I think the travel is done very well, and that you can call in your Sparrow, which is like a speeder bike, at any point during the game, or at least any of the open sections, not so much in like the closed off buildings or underground portions. Traveling is very, very nice. It's very fast, it's fun, it's fluid, it's very easy, and I like the way that they handle the travel in this game. As far as getting to missions, accepting missions, and completing missions, it's very, very straightforward. It's not at all confusing. Teaming up with friends definitely seems like something that this game really, really wants you to do. There are certain parts, even in the beta, that were clearly better handled with at least one other friend. And obviously, the more the merrier. And when we get to the full retail release, as things get bigger and badder, more teammates are going to be a must, especially since there is no matchmaking. But Bungie has defended this in that these raids are going to be very, very difficult. They're going to require teamwork, and randoms is just not going to work. So they're just going to keep it at matchmaking within the raids. But overall, I really, really enjoyed the beta, and I'm highly looking forward to this game more than any other game for this year or anything that's been announced in the coming future. Overall, you have to look at it as a value standpoint. Is this game worth $60 of entertainment? I definitely think it is. Really, the only question now is what edition to pre-order. And as far as the expansions go, we'll be able to see next year, probably, when the first one comes out, what the longevity of this game is going to be. But overall, I think it's something that we can enjoy very, very quickly and for a long time. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think if you've played the beta or not, and I will see you guys in the future.